Welcome back. I'm Sydney Rebecca.
And I'm Rebecca Snow.
And we're the Becks. So exciting. Okay, episode 2. What are we talking about?
Black Christmas, the movie. Well, movies.
Movies.
Yes, there are 3.
Yep. Canadian film, at least the first one was, came out in 1974.
Yes.
The loose remake, came out in 2006?
2006, yeah.
2006. And then finally, there was another remake in 2019.
And you can hear her trepidation in her voice there because she chose to watch the 2019 version. I watched the 2006 version, and we watched the 1974 original version together. And that kind of led us to this episode.
Yeah. So 1974, Black Christmas, when it came out, it was pretty much panned by audiences and critics alike. Didn't like it. But like many movies, kind of gained a cult following, and now it's much more popular. And it's actually lauded as one of the first slasher films.
Really?
Yeah. John Carpenter, who did Halloween, says that, it was one of his inspirations. And we all know how big Halloween is.
Well, yeah.
It's always kind of sad when something that inspired the creation becomes more famous than the original thing that caused the inspiration. But that's life, I guess.
Yeah, I hadn't even heard about Black Christmas until we started looking up, movies that were related to Christmas that were dark and scary, and so we could do a second episode right at Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a interesting movie. It caught me off guard when it first started.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just cultural differences. Like in Canada, they get away with different things. Censors are different. The language.
Yeah, that totally threw me. As a 50-year-old who was born in the 70s, the language just threw me. I was totally not expecting.
They dropped the C word.
Yeah.
70 times in the first 20 minutes. I don't know. It's not that much.
It wasn't that much, but it felt like that much at first because you're really not expecting that from a 70s movie. Not even knowing, what kind of theme we were going into. Really, we just knew it was going to be like a scary slasher movie or something like that. But it kind of just surprised me that they were using the language the themes they were talking about, even the drinking and the partying. And I guess, though, you think about it, the 70s was disco era, things like that. So, discos were known for clubs that were kind of risque. And so it probably shouldn't have surprised me, but it did.
Again, I think maybe the culture in Canada might have been different in the 70s as it was in the United States, too. That's always something to consider. So I'm just pulling up my notes here.
You will notice that Sydney is the note taker.
I am the note taker. Yeah.
Rebecca Snow over here is not so much. So you get the best of both worlds.
One thing that surprised me about this movie, so it takes place in a sorority, which I don't think either me nor Becky have any familiarity about what goes on in a sorority. I was not in a sorority when I was in college. I went to a community college, so there wasn't really any available, first of all.
I went to Central for my first year, Central Michigan University. And I went to pledge night, and when I came back, the guy at our front desk in our dorm asked me what I was up to, and I told him, and he said, please do not join a sorority. So I didn't.
Are you serious? Just that
serious.
One dude saying don't do it, and you were like, okay.
He had been there. He was a junior in college.
Okay.
And he just said, the people I know, you will be better off not joining a sorority. And so my roommate and I, who had gone, decided not to, so we dealt with some girls that did pledge, and I'm pretty glad that I didn't. So yes, I would not know what went on in a sorority house at all.
Well, the one in Black Christmas, 1974, lots of different personalities. They seemed all very friendly with each other. I mean, there was some, clashes of personality, but it wasn't anything crazy.
Little snide comments here and there, but not anything truly hateful they seemed to care about each other through the movie when things were happening.
Yeah. So the big thing that kind of starts the movie off is they get a vulgar phone call, and it's obvious that all the girls are familiar with the moaner, they call him. And it's, him swearing and moaning and
Making pig noises.
Making pig noises.
It's kind of confusing, really.
Yeah, it's
you
not...
You just don't understand, like, the meaning behind it. You know, if you were to get a prank phone call or a harassing phone call, there's usually some kind of, what do I want to say, structure to that call. They're trying to threaten you, or they're, you know...
They're sexually harassing you.
Yeah,
you
things
know,
like that. This call just seemed very random at first.
Yeah, and there was sexual comments made. But yeah, the initial phone call was really just a lot of swearing, and the girls were like, it's this guy again. And, you know, they just hang up and move on with their night.
He did say at the end of the phone call, though, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, but that was after one of the girls kind of antagonized him a little bit. Did. To be fair, the whole premise of this movie is these sorority girls get killed one by one. So his intention was always to kill them. So,
yeah.
And, you know, as far as violence and gore, this one was not too out there.
No, there was violence. I mean, obviously he was killing them, but it didn't really show the murders.
A lot of it
blood was there after, but it was very little.
Yeah.
And it looked very painty.
It did. Yeah, it was corn syrup paint, you know, etc. I don't think it had a very big budget for the time. Like I said, it was just, you know, a Canadian movie that had some recognition when it came out, but people didn't like it. So, but again, it drummed up enough of a cult following that eventually sequels/remakes got made. I'm not really clear. I think Black Christmas, the second one, the one that came out in 2006, is it like a prequel? Does it, or what is it? What is it doing?
It's not really a prequel, but it deals more with, okay, so in the first movie, the phone calls, you hear, like, the phone caller at times escalates, and you start hearing different voices that this caller is making, and it's like a woman saying, Billy, Billy, over and over again, and what'd you do, Billy? And something about the baby, and Agnes, and so you're hearing all these names and these different voices and, again, making weird sounds. So in the second movie, the 2006 version, it actually shows you the storyline behind who Billy and Agnes are.
Oh, okay.
So you find out who these people really are, and it deals more with them. It actually shows Billy, it shows what happened to Billy growing up to cause him to be aggressive. Doesn't really make a lot of phone calls. He just starts out killing people. Shows where his sister's at. It just brings all of that storyline into it. So it's the sorority sisters. It takes place in the sorority house, but it's more the actual Billy storyline and why he's killing these people. And basically they're in his house.
Gotcha. And yeah. In the original, it was kind of left up to interpretation. Like, was the killer crazy? Was it real? You know, at the end of the movie, they do not catch the real killer. They think they do, but, you know, it's revealed that the killer is still in the attic. And so the second one kind of just builds upon the Billy Agnes thing. It's still about killing sorority sisters, but they take back, they open the curtain into what Billy and Agnes
They show you who Billy is. They show you who Agnes is. Not just these random names that you're hearing on the phone. It's why it keeps doing throwbacks to his childhood, and he was a baby born with a liver disease that caused his skin to be yellow, and his mother and father were unhappy in their marriage, and the father doted on the baby, and she hated every time she looked at the baby she saw the father, and so her and her boyfriend murder the father in front of him when he was a little boy. And because he saw that, they locked him in the attic of this house, which ends up being the sorority sister's house.
Oh, okay. So it's his house all along.
And he does say to them, "Get out of my house."
Oh, that's kind of sad.
And he was in a mental institution and wanted to go home, and every Christmas he tried to break out so he could get home. And this Christmas he just did.
He succeeded.
Yeah. And
that's pretty sad.
It shows that, he ends up killing his mother and stepfather in a very gruesome way after he attacked his...
Dare I say, deserved?
Yes.
Hmm.
He got out of the attic, and he had heard his mother say that his baby sister, or so he thought, was her family now. And so he got very angry. And
Oh,
he
jealous.
attacked the little girl and ate her eyeball. Pretty disturbing.
Okay.
It's a very graphic, gory movie. It's completely, where the first one didn't show much gore at all, this one is gore from the beginning. It's just, they're showing the scenes. They're, at one point, the Christmas tree upstairs in the attic is decorated in body parts. The tree topper's a head of one of the sorority sisters.
It's a little kitschy.
It's, yeah, it was bad. And there is, trigger alert, there is incest in the movie.
That's foul.
Things like that, yeah. So it touches on a lot of crazy child abuse things and molestation and incest and things like that. So it's a pretty disturbing movie. It was, definitely 2006 slasher, crazy, gory. The more gore, the better, I think, back then. So, yeah.
So I do want to touch on, okay, so, we mentioned the first one was kind of critically panned. Audiences didn't really like it. It wasn't until later that it got kind of the attention that it deserves.
Yeah.
Because I do think it deserves the attention that it gets. I enjoyed the movie.
Oh, I did too. And I think I forgot to tell you this. I introduced it to my youngest son and his girlfriend, and I was just showing them the first scene with the phone call because of the language. It threw me, And they actually stayed right down in our living room and watched it with me again.
Oh, that's awesome.
My son is a huge horror fan. He will watch any cheesy horror movie you give him. He technically wants to be in movies at some point, and he really enjoyed it. He said, Mom, I enjoyed this. So it was a good movie. The whole premise of it was really good, and I enjoyed that it wasn't completely gory.
Yeah. So the sequel or remake, or however we want to really, I think they're all considered loose remakes.
Yeah.
So the 2006 movie that you watched, do you think them revealing the Billy and Agnes thing added to the story at all? Or do you think it was kind of like ham-fisted? Do you think they should have just kind of left the mystery?
I liked the mystery better. Maybe if they could have just given us a little bit more, like we knew that was actually Billy's house or something, and that's why it might have added to that element of the movie. But I enjoyed the first movie more, I think, because the storyline was more of the sorority sisters rather than the Billy and Agnes and the violence that they had to endure and things like that. In its own right, I don't think it's much like the first one at all, other than it's a sorority sister and there's killings, because it was all about Billy more than it was about the sorority sisters, where you were seeing stories about them in the first one and their interactions with people. It was more about Billy and Agnes and killing everybody.
Okay, that's interesting, because kind of leads me into the 2019 film. I will just say, like, right off the bat, I did not like this movie. It was terrible. I will say there was elements that I liked, but Billy and Agnes, there's nothing like that. There's no threatening phone calls at all. It's all text messages, because I guess, 2019, we're in the modern age now. It can't be threatening phone calls. Not with caller ID.
Right?
I mean, just say unknown caller. It's not hard. Anyway.
You can still star 67 it so it blocks your number, too.
Wow.
I probably shouldn't have given that information out in this.
Yeah, nice job, Becky.
I know. I just created a whole bunch of stalkers.
Don't stalk people. Okay. Anyway, clearly what was kind of missing in the second movie, the 2006 Black Christmas, they rectified in the 2019 version. I say that because we come back to the sisterhood, the sorority, the relationships between all the girls and their boyfriends, etc. There's definitely more of a feminist message. I would say it's kind of ham-fisted. I'm a feminist. I'll be the first to admit that. But the 2019 version is like every Marvel fanboy pissed off at Captain Marvel for being what it was. Like, it was like girl power and all men are evil, and it was just
over the top.
There's this line where literally This is so stupid. I might have to find the clip on YouTube so we can link it to the Facebook page, where one of the girls and her boyfriend are arguing and he not all men's her. And she's like, did you seriously just not all men's me? Are you kidding me? Get out! And it's like this really overdramatic fight, and it's so cringy. And later on in the movie, spoilers, the boyfriend dies because he's like, I'm the man, I have to protect her. And that's basically what he says, and he dies horribly. What? So, anyway, we're back to the sorority house. Certain girls get threatening text messages. They're like jokes. Not really sexual in nature, really. It's just like, what do a sorority girl and Santa have in common? Like, I don't even remember the joke. It was stupid, okay? And like I said, there's the feminist overarching theme of it. The main character was, trigger warning, raped by a frat boy. Like, the captain of his chapter. I'm not really sure how the hierarchy works with that. I don't know either. And he got away with it. Like, she tried telling people, no one believed her. I don't know, like there wasn't enough evidence to convict him. It was all very horrible. And since she's the main character, she's the one that the movie really focuses on. She's kind of a pariah in the college because she has all these men who hate her, including one of the professors who is also like the house father of the frat house. And he's like a history teacher, I think. He refuses to teach anything or like reference anything that's been written by women. And some of the girls in her sorority house are all trying to get him fired for that. So one by one, the girls start disappearing, getting killed. And it's, you see the killers right away. They're all like masked killers.
Oh, so there's more than one?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a completely different premise from the original. And, well, the second one had 2 killers.
So I don't know if they did this on purpose. To me, it was very obvious that there was more than one killer. I don't know if it was because certain things were happening at the same time frame in the movie. I never bought that it was just one killer. Probably, maybe because of the mask, and I haven't trusted a motherfucker since Scream. So, I don't know. What?
Oh, Scream.
One of my favorite movies, by the way. But seriously, like, just the mask, typically a mask is just used to protect the identity of the killer, right? So they can get away with it. You know, it could be somebody you love. It could be anybody. But it was obvious to me from the start that it was multiple killers. And it's revealed pretty early on in the movie that there are multiple killers.
Okay.
Because they're hitting multiple sororities.
Oh, so again, it's not just one. It's not just that sorority house. It's
right.
Okay. So yeah, this is a completely different movie then.
It gets crazier, okay? I'm not even done. So one of the things that they're fighting the professor on, the one who won't, reference literature written by women, because no woman has ever written anything ever, apparently. Played by Carrie Elwes, totally wasted in this role, by the way. They're like the founder of, I'm not sure if it's the college or like the sorority fraternity houses or what. I think it's the founder of the college. He was like a big chauvinistic douchebag. So they want his bust removed from like the garden area or whatever. And they get it removed. Like all these students make a petition and they're like, let's remove him. He was a bad person. And the professor was one of the people who was vehemently against it because, he was a good old boy, right? He wanted the college to stay the same. Like nothing was wrong with it. Why would we change? We're erasing our history. We've all heard it. Well, it's revealed later on that this is so stupid. I'm sorry, I need to pull it together. Okay. That Carrie Elwes is the main villain, okay? They removed the bust and they found out when they were moving it that it like leaks magical goo.
Are you kidding?
I'm not
me
joking.
Right now?
Okay. And then if they, and I want to know how they figured this out. If they drink the magic goo, they are reverted back to their natural alpha male state.
Don't even.
And then they can be stronger and they can kick the shit out of sorority girls and kill them and sacrifice them to the founder. I'm not kidding. Like, you can look this movie. It's on Netflix.
I'm so glad I got the 2006
I'm so mad. Like, I'm jealous. I would have taken the gore over this at any time. But it's like, okay, so most of the frat boys, I guess, consent to do this. There is
to drink the magical goo?
Yeah, well, they're becoming their natural alpha big man juice, you know? And there is like a guy who's like a pledge. He's not really part of the fraternity yet, who is like interested in pursuing the main character, and he's very sweet and not really interested in being one of the good old boys with the rest of them or anything like that. The main character actually thinks that it's him who's sending her the text at first because, you know, he's the only new person in her life, and the movie does a good job of kind of putting a suspicious lens on this new character, but he is very sweet. Thing about the founder goo is that it doesn't matter if you...
The founder goo, I'm so sorry. I can't finish.
It's
the
so...
founder goo.
It's so... And I don't want to swear a lot on this podcast. It is fucking stupid, okay? Like... But anyway...
It's just how it is, right?
It's... Most of the frat boys, they're like, hell yeah, let's get beefed up with this steroid juice that's coming out of this cement bust of this man who's been dead for 200 years. Like, that's probably safe. It doesn't have asbestos or anything in it. Well, they force the nice boy, because there's only one nice boy in the whole film, basically. They force him to drink it, and he, too, becomes, like, brainwashed and overcome with the power of alpha and hatred of women. I'm all about girl power, feminist messages, etc. I don't need no man. Like, I get it. But this movie was stupid. And I really feel like I got the short end of the stick. I thought I was like, oh, this could be fun. It was 2019. How bad could it be? It was so bad. It was so bad.
I got the better version.
It took such a weird turn. I mean, I was like, they made it super obvious that Carrie Elwes' character was going to be a villain. He was involved somehow. But it was like a magical cult thing. Like, I feel like totally out of left field.
I think with all the technology we have, especially in 2019, you could have taken this movie and the premise of this movie and made it phenomenal. Mm. You know what I'm saying? With the bigger budget, I think you could have made it phenomenal. 2006, it was still pretty cheesy, but I think you could have done so much more using at least the title of Black Christmas. From the sounds of it, your movie was just mindless and stupid.
It was very schlocky.
Your hour and a half that you'll never get back.
No, truly. That was when I was building the Lego set and my cats were fighting in front of me. All that was much more entertaining than the actual movie. I was sad that no one was watching it with me because I just had to make fun of it by myself in my head. And I am funny, but, you know, it gets a little old. You're just sad at some point that you're just watching this terrible movie and doing it for your podcast. So you're going to see it through, goddammit.
Yes, you did good. I'm sorry you got the short end of the stick. I got the good one. I do, to my listeners, want you to, if you get the chance to watch both the 1974 version and the 2006 version, to tell me what object was in both. Because it kind of surprised me. I told you about it.
Yeah, you did.
And I just want to see if other people are noticing. So if you do get to watch that, you know, let us know if you know what object was in both movies that kind of tied that together for me.
One thing I thought was funny is there is a cat in at least the 1974 and the 2019 version. In the original 1974, his name was Claude. A very handsome cat, like a snowball-y type cat. And in the 2019 version, it was Claudette. Keep in mind, it was very, you know, it was a feminist empowerment movie, so of course the cat had to be a female.
I can't remember if there was a cat in the 2006 version. There was just so much gore that I was like, every other scene was someone dying in a very gory, horrendous way, and eyeballs being crunched on and things like that. So I don't know if there was a cat. So that's another thing. If you watch the 2006 version, let me know if there was a cat. I'd like to know, and what its name was. That would be interesting.
If it wasn't Claude or Claudette, I don't care. That's the real lore. We need to follow I wonder if all the cats were related. Like, the original Like, the original woman who owned the house never got her cat fixed, and now there's just inbred cats that are
Just
also
running
a
through
part
the
of this.
walls of the house now.
Yeah.
Could be just all with the same version of Claude, some version of that name.
Do you know, okay, so there is something, they say that cats, this is gonna get gross. They say that cats will, like, eat human remains, and they won't wait very long after you die to start eating you. So,
Even if they're well fed?
yeah, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Like, cats, like, dogs will at least wait until all their food is gone.
Yes.
Like, they have
but cats
that loyalty.
just eat you
Cats
because
are
you're
like,
dead?
fresh meat, hell yeah, let's do it. Fancy
wonder
feast.
why I'm a dog person.
I think that cats and their apathy towards humanity is very relatable. Anyway, just kidding. No, but I wonder if the reason why they couldn't find Claude in the first movie, because you see him in the beginning,
Yeah.
and he freaks out because the first girl gets murdered and probably goes and hides. Poor baby. But the house mother, she can't find him, and she a couple of times is like, Claude, where are you, baby? Trying to get him. I wonder if he was in the attic where the bodies were being kept, eating the dead bodies.
Wasn't he on her at one point? The one dead body in
Yeah.
the rocking chair, like licking blood off of her face or something?
He was looking at the
So
plastic
I
bag.
think he was, and that's what caused the spoiler alert. That's what caused the house mother to lose her life. Was she went up in the attic and he hooked her.
Yep.
She was looking for Claude. It was Claude's fault. She was gonna. Well, she deserved it because she told Claude he was gonna have to be fixed.
But he wasn't fixed, which is why my theory has credence. It was all of these sequels. It was the story of Claude all along. And the fact that he never got snipped.
Well, now I have to know if there's a cat in the 2006 version.
There better be. Oh, I do want to mention when I was looking up stuff about the 2019 version, just to refresh my memory, because Satan himself could not fucking hook me up to a chair and make me watch that movie again. There's nothing that could. It was so bad. They do talk about some of the feminist messages in the first movie, specifically, and I don't know, this might be kind of loose. I'm not really sure what the original director's intent was, but one of the girls, actually, who ends up being the main character in the first one, she's fighting with her boyfriend about getting an abortion. And that could definitely be seen as, for 1974, when was Roe v. Wade?
Pretty close there. Let me look.
And again, this is Canada, not the United States, but still, it was probably a very poignant issue at the time. She's Googling.
1973.
Oh, shit. Okay, so
yeah,
that was
definitely,
literally...
I would think that the director definitely...
was saying some stuff about how America ain't shit compared to Canada. But, yeah, so there's... I guess you could call that a feminist message. I would call it a healthcare message, but that's just me. But I could definitely see where maybe the directors of the 2019 version were like, yeah, we can make this into more of a feminist issue.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the 1974 version does a good job of kind of casting every person outside of the sorority sisters as a suspicious person.
Oh, I agree.
You really don't know who the killer is, and then you think you know.
Yeah. The 2006 version, right off the bat. However, they do throw Agnes into it you kind of find out that she's there. And at one point, one of the girls that they're killing said something about your effed up brother or your fucked up brother, or I don't know what they said. And she goes, "You mean my daddy?"
Oh, no!
So that's the first time you really see her after what happened.
Wait. Okay, so his mother... Oh, my God.
He was locked in the attic from the time he saw his father get killed. And she was trying to get busy with her boyfriend. And he passed out drunk or high or whatever, and she was frustrated. And by this time, Billy was a teen, maybe early 20s.
That's
It doesn't really
sick.
show.
Oh my God.
And it just shows her going upstairs and she disrobes and then she has a baby.
That's disgusting.
And so, yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, it was disturbing. I did not expect that. But like I said, there was, the incest, the molestation. So it is definitely trigger warnings. Child abuse. Obviously, she locked him in the
neglect. Yeah, all of it.
Yeah. So
yeah, definitely. I would definitely, check trigger warnings before you explore any of it. I mean, that's the nature of horror.
Yes.
It takes things that frighten and traumatize us and gives us a way not only to process them, but also dull the edge, maybe, of, these horrifying things that the humanity goes through. So,
which I think adds to the darkness of, the Black Christmas. In this one, it was not just about the murder, it was about the history of why these murders occurred. And so that adds to that darkness of black, that cloud hanging over it, that not just the gore of a horror movie, but the horror of humanity at times.
Yeah.
So a little bit deeper thought into it. But yeah, there was a lot to this movie that was a lot different than the first one. If I had to choose, I would watch the first one again. I enjoyed that one.
Well, you did watch it twice.
I did. I watched it twice. I would watch it again. That one was enjoyable. Second one was, It was okay, but a lot of things that I'd just rather not watch. Work in eyeballs, so seeing people eat eyeballs and hang them on trees as Christmas decorations is a little disturbing.
That's one thing I am glad I watched the 2019 version over, because as hilarious as it is that I work on an eye doctor, I really have an eyeball horror phobia. I don't want to see people getting glass in their eyes. I don't want to see people ripping their eyeballs out. Like, all of that stuff, like, that just messes me up. You could get close in a movie to a needle getting stuck in a person's eye, and I'm like lightheaded. Like, I hate it so much. And I am pretty thick-skinned usually, I think, but eyeball horror, nope, I can't. I draw the line.
Understood.
That's my boundary. All right, so we do have a Facebook page. It's very rudimentary, but we are going to be building it up, inviting people. Please give us a like if you haven't already.
Bear with us, as this is all new to us, and so we're learning as we go.
Yep. I successfully, for the first time, didn't need a man to help me set up the microphones. So that was something. And we are going to be, I know for sure we're going to be uploading to Spotify. I've had requests for other podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts. I definitely want to do, and there's a few other ones too that we will be looking into uploading. We do have I have a whole book of things, not a whole book, but decent amount of notes on subjects that we definitely do want to cover. But if there is something that one of our listeners really wants us to cover, we would of course take that into consideration. Yes. We may even later on have guests.
Yes, and we have talked about too having you send us your spooky, scary stories, and maybe once we're established and we get things going the way we want them, we might do just an episode where we share some of those spooky, scary things or strange things or things that you're scared of that, we've never heard of. We do know that there's different things from all over the country, all over the world that are
local terrors,
local things that, you're scared of. In our area, it can be Bigfoot and UFOs, because we live in a very densely wooded area, and it gets pretty dark here at night.
It's rural. You still haven't gotten curtains on your creepy windows.
I haven't. Sydney does not like my creepy windows because I look straight into the woods.
Yeah, that's a story for another time. I think we're done talking about Black Christmases.
I think so. Yes, no Black Christmases here. Nothing but good happiness.
And it is, I feel, you know what? I just realized it's so apt that it is the longest night of the year on the day that we're recording Black Christmas.
Oh, it is. The winter solstice is here.
Yes. But it just is gonna brighten up from here.
That's right.
The sun is coming back.
Woo-hoo. I'm ready.
So I'm not going to say what our next episode is going to be because I don't know, but I do know that we want to talk about Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant, which is a book about killer mermaids.
And I'm just starting to read that.
It'll be so good. I'm very excited. We have different phobias we want to talk about.
So it should be fun.
Yeah.
And like Sydney said, if there's something that you want us to talk about or something that you find interesting that you'd like to share, we're more than willing to take a look at that and share our take on it as well. So
yeah, we like to think we're semi-entertaining, so hopefully you guys will too.
We're funny.
All right,
Hopefully.
Thank you so much. My name is Sydney Rebecca.
And I'm Rebecca Snow.
And we're the Becks.